I guess you
But
want.
Fosh, you know where I don't want to go live?
Well, obviously in Gundam on Mars. You want to live there right now.
What a transition. All right.
Yeah. So
So
yeah,
I'll take.
yeah, you can go for it.
All right. So this episode of Iron Blood Orphans is titled "Glorious Demise," which I think is a bit debatable, but that's let's save that for the end of the episode because the first major part of this episode was finally taking care of all the absolutely horrible people from the first platoon or first group. You see, which is like, why these guys really didn't think ahead because it's gonna like sulk in their bunker, get fed like this gruel or whatever. And it's like they're making it way too easy on Orga to slip them all like roofies or whatever he did.
Yeah, that part was a little weird how they caught them. And like
Yeah,
they pretty much let their guard down against the other soldiers that obviously do not like them. It's like, why would you let them just walk around and do whatever they want?
yeah, and it's also like, but I think the way that Orga handled the situation, like throughout the whole like the act of eliminating the superiors and the follow up, I think I'm very appreciative of how he acted.
Right,
He
I mean,
was
yeah.
cold blooded. He was cold blooded and ruthless when he needed to be,
Hmm.
and he showed compassion and forgiveness when he didn't.
Right, yeah. Because he did have
So,
that one guy go that I guess the accountant type character was going to help them with their money issues, but yeah, I mean he could have went in their dorm area, whatever, and just torched the whole entire place while they were sleeping. Yeah, he could have been that ruthless if he wanted to be, but like I said, he wasn't. He did give these people kind of sort of a chance to explain themselves, so it's not like he just went guns blazing, unlike other
well, yeah, and
characters.
well, the only person who really got his hands dirty was Mika,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
going back to like I was talking about how I don't really trust Orga,
uh huh,
and this is still kind of building on that theme where it's like, so is me. I guess really Mika is the one who's getting his hands dirty in place of Orga,
right,
and I know Mika is perfect as Mika is now. He is perfectly fine with this place in their relationship where like Orga's the thinker, Mika's the doer,
right,
and
yeah,
it's not necessarily a bad relationship. Like,
no, but
but
it
at the
can be
same
later on, yeah.
yeah, there's just like some niggling little part of me where it's like, is this going to be a relationship that survives the rest of the show? And I'm not putting my money on it.
Yeah, I still think the same thing that Orga is a cool character and all, but I don't see these two sticking together for too long. You know,
Exactly.
I mean, yeah,
Something has to happen between these characters
like
because
I can imagine a setup where maybe the princess steps out of line, and Orga's just like kill her, and Mika's like no, I'm not going to, and they have an argument about that. It could be something stupid like that that sets them off on different paths. But
yeah, but
yeah,
let's not focus too far ahead on the future.
no, no,
We skipped over the scene where Mika eats Kudelia's poorly cooked soup or whatever.
yeah.
And Fosh, do you think they're trying to build a romance angle between Kudelia and Mika?
Oh yeah, from the very first start, I knew they were going for that angle. Just having those two
Yeah,
kind of interact with each other. Even when she was going to give him a handshake, he wasn't going to shake her hand because even that little scene was kind of a hint that maybe something might happen later on. But you know,
yeah. Something about the way they're interacting, like I do believe there's romance in the air later on, and there's also Atra. But again, we'll talk about her a
what
little
do you feel
later.
about Kudilla and maybe Orga because they had this little moment where they talked together about Mika. They were talking about him that and about
I
them together. I guess. I
I
mean that'd be
think it's
interesting.
more, I think more likely for Kudelia to have a crush on Mika just because
Uh-huh.
like they keep talking about like how she's like talking about like no, you guys are sacrificing yourselves or whatnot, and
Mhm.
Mika is very against the idea of like self-sacrifice. And again, we'll talk about this later with Crank and his final stand.
Right. But with me, I think Orga would see it maybe as an opportunity. If I get close to her, she's a princess. Obviously comes from a wealthy family, probably. You know. Yeah.
That could be possible too. I'm not putting it past him. But
Right.
going back to dealing with the first platoon and whatnot, like I think one of the things that really like really made me impressed with Orga's character is that he was willing to not only let people go, whether they were from his orphan platoon or from the first brigade, but like he even like paid them commission. So he's like, or whatever it's called. So it's like he's clearly against building too much animosity towards his cause. He's like, you know what? If you're gonna leave, fine. We're trying to be like a reputable business, and I'm making air quotes.
Right, yeah, he doesn't want to like stop what they're doing. He's like, we're gonna keep doing what we're doing. We're just gonna do it a different way, my way, basically.
Yeah, basically. And also, what was I thinking of? Yeah, so it's like, I mean, they kept the accountant because you need an accountant to say like,
right.
hey, boss, we're a little short money, and they kept Derp Hitler, as we are going to affectionately call him.
Right. Yeah.
Mostly just because like he's not so much comic relief as he's like the slimy adult's point of view. So it's like,
right.
Hey kid, you could be doing this, or we could just toss her to the enemy general and make it rich. What do you say?
I was about to say, yeah, he's quick to sell his companions. He's just like, well, you know, so and so, we can get rid of her and make some money. He's like, no, we're not doing that. Sorry. Thanks to the suggestion.
I know he has a name, but I'm only gonna call him Derp Hitler.
Right, that's what I'm gonna call him for now. He's a character that you want to keep an eye on. He might do something later on that might screw things up.
I mean, he probably wouldn't have too much trouble like setting a bomb inside their ship or whatever. Like if it would get him a lot of money in a safe house on Earth or whatever.
Right. Okay. So he's gonna be a character again. You gotta keep an eye on. He may do something later on that he will probably will regret. This is hoping Mika doesn't have to, put a bullet in his head.
Well, Mika would. Mika is clearly has no problems with putting bullets in multiple people's head.
Would you say he's trigger happy or not really? He's just doing what he has to. No, I know he's doing what he's doing for his friends.
No, he's not trigger happy at all because he doesn't get pleasure from the act of killing people. It's his duty, and if he's going to go through with this, he's not going to pause and he's not going to like think about it when he's going to do his job.
Right, yeah, he cares about the survival of his friends. That's what, as Irene wrote down here. And I completely agree. He would do anything for his friends, basically.
Yeah. So, like, let's get into Crank.
Alright.
Crank's big plan or whatnot, and I remember we talked a lot about this specifically last episode, last Mecha Talk. We're like, oh, there's no way Crank doesn't have a plan. He's a he's a established general. He's got something stored up his hand. It's like, yeah, he sure had something stored up his sleeve. Because his bold idea was to fly the red flag, which means you're challenging someone to a duel. So that's like, I guess, bullfighting or something. I don't know. And his basically his terms of dueling was, if I win, I get the princess and the grays that you took from us. And if you win, you get nothing because you have killed me and I can't offer you anything. So it's like, this felt entirely like a suicide dash. And like, he really didn't have a plan. Because the idea of, if I win, yay, and if I lose, I'm dead and nothing changes. That's not really a plan. Yeah, so like, that's what I was saying. It's like, I really don't think Crank's plan was all that good. Because like, I don't see how he thought this could possibly have stopped the conflict. Especially because a large part of this thing was like, no, your commanders and Gjallarhorn want everyone eliminated. And it's like, well, he just wants to fight solely against Mika. So it's like, I think like the main thing to take away from Crank is two things. One, it's like, this isn't the kind of show where an honorable warrior can get his due.
No.
Like the person who sticks to their convictions and like believes in honor on the battlefield, and it's like, well, this isn't the type of show where that stuff's gonna fly. You're gonna be killed by the child soldier you pity. And the other thing is actually about pity, because like Crank is talking about like, he feels that Mika and all the rest of the war orphans, like, he thinks of them as victims. Like, he thinks of, like, these kids who are here against their will, like, they're being controlled by other forces, and he feels bad for them. And, I mean, the audience, too, is supposed to feel bad for them. like Mika has the line where it's like, we're not victims, because like, and I don't, and I'm not going to say this applies to all the war orphans, of course, but I'm
Well,
going to say
yeah,
like in Mika's eyes specifically, like he's like, don't go calling us like victims, don't go pitying us. We didn't ask for pity, and we never said we didn't want to be here. Well, I mean, like other kids have, Mika hasn't ever said he doesn't want to be here. I shouldn't say Mika speaks for all of them. That's probably a mistake.
right, yeah. I mean, you have people like Cookie and his sister, so it's like that's like some of these people don't really have bad lives. They're in a bad situation, yeah, but they're not exactly like you said wanting to leave. Most of them are just there because it's the only family they know. So where else are they gonna go?
Yeah,
They have no choice
exactly,
but to
exactly.
stick together. And like you said, Mika doesn't want to be looked down on as, oh, they should just feel sorry for you. No, he doesn't want that. So he wants to. He's the exact opposite. He's like, I don't feel sorry for me at all. I don't mind this. That's him. That and his lifestyle. I mean, that's the only lifestyle he knows. So he's not exactly gonna
Exactly.
go out and get a job somewhere.
He's lived his life as Orga's gun,
Right.
and to him, that's, I'm not going to say the perfect life, but that's the only life he can even imagine.
Right. Yeah, like I said, he's not. He can't exactly join the military and say, "Yeah, I'm gonna join the military, fight for justice." Like, no, not really.
Yeah.
That's not what he's about.
Hmm. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah. No, I was just gonna say
aside from
about the fight itself was kind of very, I don't know, one-sided. I guess you could say. Crank pretty much got destroyed so
I
fast.
mean, I don't think it
Yeah.
was too one sided because like Crank did like break Mika's spear,
Yeah. True.
and like I like how it basically fell like within a foot of Orga.
Mhm. Until
I,
he
I,
blew a hole through him. I was like, okay, well, that's pretty much that then.
I that's one of those like stupid shots that I love. Is like when like you have a giant like weapon or something that like flies through the bathroom and like lands an inch from a main character and like the
Mhm.
character doesn't even flinch. I'm like, oh, that's a shot.
Reminds you of Breakblade was like that, with all big weapons and stuff that there are humans running around as weapons being dropped by these giant robots. Like, well, someone's going to get crushed by it. So,
Mhm.
but
Yeah,
yeah,
that's one of those things where it's like, I don't care how stupid it is. I will always like clap my hands when I see that.
yeah, that's true. To me, it's always like I always make the joke that afterwards they're probably like, oh my god, I almost died. Like they're freaking out by it, but they're trying to keep a brave face.
Yeah. There
But yeah.
were in this episode there were a few things that's like this really doesn't compute. The first one was like, so Cordelia was having a conversation with Orga,
Uh-huh.
and she's like, "Hey, could I get the Alana, whatever it's called, surgery?
Yeah,
Like, I want to
that was
help
weird.
out."
Yeah, I don't.
And it's like, I feel like this was more of an excuse to explain what the deal is with it than like her actual motivation. Because like within 3 minutes, she's like, "I don't want to have the surgery anymore." It's like you say that, but it's like, I
Right.
mean, you never in this kind of show like the lack of explanation explaining a motive really sticks out.
Uh-huh.
It's like all the other times, like I've understood where Cordelia is coming from. Now it's like, so she wants to have the surgery, then she doesn't. Like after they've explained what the surgery is about, and like how Mika's so cool because he had the surgery done 3 times.
Right. I mean, it'd
It's
be
like
like
that's one of
someone.
those.
Yeah.
That's like a weird case. Like you could have worded this better or like made it more in line with her character.
Uh-huh.
Because like I get the point of her like wanting to help and then realizing no, my place isn't on the battlefield. I've never spent a day in my life fighting. My place is in the
Right.
politics realm.
I mean, if like
Like
someone's
I
seen someone with like a mechanical arm, like that's awesome. What does it do? All this cool stuff, and you're like, you gotta cut your arm off though. Like, okay, never mind. Not
yeah, it's
realizing,
like
you gotta give something up for that.
I don't know, like you give if you gave like
Jeez.
even one more scene of like, oh, Kudelia is like asking about how to pilot a robot, like that would have made
Mhm.
more sense. But like as it was like shown, it's like, well, I mean, that didn't really fly for me.
Yeah, that was a little weird. I
And
can agree.
the other thing, and the other thing that was like, did I blink and miss something? Because like, when did Mika get the bracelet from Atra?
Yeah,
Because Atra was
yeah,
like going. Atra was like going to give it to him, but then she like we'll see down. She's like, he's busy with something, and I don't have the chance. And then like after Mika, sometime in the sequence, and I'm sorry that my memory of the sequence is a bit incorrect. Like sometime during that sequence, either before or after Mika has speared through Crank's gauze and he has to basically shoot him to death.
Uh-huh.
Like he like holds up the bracelet that he got from her. And he like looks at it, calms down, and like it's like, did I just miss the scene when he got it, or?
No, well, they showed him in the cockpit originally getting out there, and he had the bracelet like on the Gundam somewhere inside the cockpit, so
Yeah.
he grabbed it. But yeah, we didn't see the scene where how he got the bracelet. You know, if after they gave it to him, or did the mechanic give it to him? I'm assuming the mechanic gave it to him. I assume, but I don't know.
I don't know, but it's like
I want to be
like,
right.
we
For
were
me,
talking
I
like,
wanted her to give it to him because that's a sign to him that someone is
Someone
looking out
cares
for
about
me. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, because I just remember like we were talking like last Mechanor.
Mhm.
I forgot the name of this podcast. And we were talking last Mechanor. And it's like, oh, is the bracelet the thing that's gonna like spur? Is like Atra gonna die giving Mika the bracelet and like is that spur change his personality? And it's like, no, he just has it. Atra's fine. Like we don't know what's going on really.
Right.
It's like,
yeah.
I personally didn't think they're gonna like kill Atra to spur on Mika. That's just like, I feel like, okay, so I guess you're gonna have to flash back to the scene when he gets the bracelet. It's just like kind of a weird, like you saw her like making the bracelet. You saw her like wiggling around. It's like, should I give it to him? Should I not? And it's like, and then he just like has it. And it's like, what's going on here exactly?
Right. Yeah. But at the same time, I feel like you said, it's kind of maybe a small flashback will happen later on. They're showing you how they happened and all that. Maybe she dropped it and he doesn't realize that it's really hers. I don't know. Something cheesy will happen with that. I mean, they gotta highlight it somewhere. I mean, like I said, it almost makes it a little bit not so important if they're just gonna, kind of half-ass it here and kind of skip it. Like, but to everyone else, it's probably like it's just a bracelet. Yeah, it's not really a big deal, but story-wise, it kind of would make things more interesting. If Atra gave it to him, Mika can realize that maybe I shouldn't be just
like
going off by myself to kill people.
Of this show isn't on Mika's relationship with Atra. Like,
no.
When you look at what does the show talk about, like that's not at the top of the list, and I'm fine with that.
Right. Yeah. As
it's
far
just
as
like when like the writing kind of like fumbles with it, it's like we like show the bracelet, we show Atra's like nervousness, and suddenly like Mika has the bracelet on him as he's killing the general. It's like it feels kind of like a step was missed in the writing, and it's like that kind of like breaks your immersion in the show.
Well, that, and he uses it kind of like you said before as a means to calm himself down afterwards. He kind of like
so it's
almost like he smells it. It's kind of weird, but that's fine. It's Mika, whatever.
Yeah, I don't get that. It's again like I don't want to make a mountain out of a molehill. I just want to say it's like it's one of those things where it's like in a show that's got like great writing throughout. It's like these little. It's like, well, where did that motivation just pop out from? Or it's like, where did this plot device just pop out from? It's like that really like shakes you up because like you're experiencing such a great show, and suddenly it's like, hold on a second, what's going on here?
Or maybe it's just the building blocks of something greater on later for the later half of the series. That when he's in the heat of battle, getting covered in blood, not realizing, and then sees the bracelet and maybe calms himself down. It's gonna be used for something like that later on. I can tell just how he's, he kind of cherishes it. It's like important to him. So I don't see him just like, oh, just, being kind of meh about it. But yeah, that part was kind of weird. I can agree. That and like I said before, the princess being, I want a pilot, and like, oh wait, no, I don't. I was kind of, I forgot about that.
Yeah. So the very last events of this episode is Orga has decided to revitalize, I guess, the CGS. He's turning their name into Iron Flower, Tekadon.
Right.
Which sounds a lot like a bowl of rice that you would get in Japan, which is delicious, by the way.
It sounds like a knockoff of like a giant robot series or something. Like it could be
also possible.
Like Techno Man, but we gotta be Tekka something else. So instead of that.
Yeah. And the first job of Tekadon is the last job of the CGS, really. It's escorting Kudelia to Earth. And she's not going to give up. She's decided, like, okay, I can't be on the battlefield. Good decision. You would suck on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Instead, she's going to be like, okay, let's take me to Earth. I'm going to end this battle the only way I know how with the talkie talk,
Right.
which is perfect for her character because that's exactly what she should be doing. And then
Right.
she
Yeah.
brings up her mystery sponsor, a person named Noblesse, who is looks like he's playing both sides because he's also clearly involved with Gjallarhorn.
Right. Yeah. I think I was trying to figure out who he was. Is he? I think I forgot who he was a minute ago. I don't remember him.
We haven't like met him or like
Oh, okay.
gotten his full spiel. Like he's been mentioned as a sponsor by Gjallarhorn,
Right.
and now he's been mentioned as a sponsor by Kudelia.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's probably like in both sides. Like he's like part of that. He might be like similar to that giant corporation that was in Gundam Unicorn.
Right. Yeah.
What was its name again?
That one I can't tell you. I don't remember. Got
Yeah.
a unicorn. It comes
Was it
out
just like
so late.
there was that big corporation Gundam Unicorn that was like playing both sides?
Mhm. Yeah.
Yes,
They're
so I
in it for the money, basically. Looks of it.
Yeah, so it seems like this guy might be similar. It's like, yeah, I mean, I don't mind paying you money if you're gonna kill Kudelia, but I don't mind paying Kudelia money if she's gonna cause you trouble.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, I think I keep an eye on that guy. So he's up to. He's like that guy reading to. He's playing both sides. So yeah, he doesn't
Yeah.
really care if people get killed as long. That's how I look at this.
Yeah, he also doesn't mind which side wins because either way, he's going to be rich.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And the one thing I have from the episode was like, you know, I'm still wondering how long is it going to take before they actually leave this little area on Mars. Now that they have the princess, she's going to do her mission. So like, how long will it
I
take for them to,
say
leave this base?
3 episodes max.
Yeah, I'm thinking
'Cause
that too.
They're clearly on Gjallarhorn's shit list.
Uh-huh.
So it's like, how long can you
Right.
really stay in the same place when there's like this interplanetary security organization who really doesn't like you?
Right.
They're not going to be. They're not going to be around for. They're not going to be in the same place for that long.
With that, and they've killed like several of their men so far. So it's like,
Well,
yeah,
they killed
you gotta get some
Cap
revenge.
Orlis, the asshole, and
Uh-huh.
Crank, the tragic general.
I wonder if the guy that he left behind that was kind of injured, if he's gonna step up as this, new badass character, because he
I
obviously
picture-
he obviously looks up to Crank, like he was like his partner or whatever.
Oh yeah, and Crank gave him like his little emblem
Right.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that character seems very heavily set up to be like he's going to be the rival character who like Nika can never kill off, even though he can kill off anybody else.
Right. I hope so, because I mean, Gundam 00 had that guy. I don't know if you got to that series or not. Mr. Bushido, who was like this rival to the Setsuna character. So he was like the average fighter, average pilot, and he gets defeated, and he has this new drive to get revenge or fight the other guy. So I'm thinking that this new guy would be like that.
Yeah, or like Jared from Zeta Gundam, who like even though he's a complete awful person, like he just doesn't die and just keeps causing more and more trouble for Camille.
Right. Yeah. That's like kind of get the vibe from this character. He's gonna be that kind of thing. That he's gonna maybe get a new machine, an upgrade, and be able to fight.
But also, maybe we're spending too much time because like he's had maybe 5 conversations max so far.
Yeah, that is true.
So it's like it could be like those 2 pretty boy officers who came from outer space to visit Gjallarhorn. It could be one of those 2.
Oh yeah, I forgot they arrived at the very end. It's like, oh well,
Yeah.
they're gonna be
Again,
involved
like
now.
we're at the stage now where, and like this is just general like thoughts on the show. It's like, and this is very much the same with Heavy Object and the same with Lucifer. Like, we still don't know what's important. Like, you can predict like this thing might be more important than the others by looking at the writer's past work. Like, look at what Mario Okada has done in the past with I don't know AKB 0048, and like what's important to that show may or may not be important to this show.
Right.
So it's like, do you think that character's important? I don't know. I haven't watched every show Mario Okada's done, but like,
I've seen a good
depending on-
majority of stuff she's done, and yeah, a lot of side characters really don't get a lot of love in her shows. So
yeah, so it's like,
yeah.
maybe we're thinking too far into it. It's like expecting Derp Hitler to become a traitor and sabotage them might be expecting too much because he'll probably stick into the background and not be that important.
Right, but with Gundam, my experience of that has always been the ensemble cast. Everyone has
Yeah,
a
true.
role, Even the enemy team has a few characters that are very likable in most
Yeah, that's
Gundam
the thing.
series.
You have to balance it between this is a
Right.
Gundam show and this is a Mario Kata show.
Right. And
And I mean,
I don't expect all the people on the enemy team to be characters.
yeah, and it's also
I don't care about, you know.
and it's also again like we think this thing is important. We could be completely wrong, or the
Right.
stupid guess we make as an off thought, it could be exactly right. Like, yeah, that's exactly what happened. And it's like, wow, did Mario Kata listen to Macanorn and write her show based around our expectations? Oh my god! Come on, please let that be the case.
My biggest thing I take on that is I hope she sees the Gundam franchise as a bigger thing. You know, fans expect a certain thing out of Gundam, and
Yeah.
you know, they kind of want that to happen. I don't really want a love triangle. She does that a lot in her shows, so I don't want any of that getting in the way of like the overall, you know, plot of like the war and all that.
I mean,
stuff.
I don't think Mika is capable of expressing love in
No,
the way that
no,
I don't know the characters in other Mario Kata shows would do.
no, yeah.
But you know what? He will probably be like if we're talking like relationship terms, like he's like the really slow kind of person who like doesn't really develop emotions. So like they've already been in a relationship for a year.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of why I like Mika a little bit better. Especially the episode, like he showed, he's not afraid to shoot someone, even go for a kill shot. He's not afraid. And you know, for years and years and years, Gundam, that all the new ones that have been coming out, you always have the pacifist leader who doesn't want to fight. He's scared of fighting. So this is a refreshment for me that they have someone like Mika who's not afraid to you know pull the trigger when it's required, and he's not complaining and whining about it. It's the biggest thing I'm happy about.
Again, there's a million places the show could go, and I'm more than happy to stick around for the ride it is now.
Right, me too.
Yeah, but I think that wraps up all our thoughts on this week's mecha offerings.
Yeah,
Posh?
pretty much. You know, I don't really have much to say about Gundam yet. Like you said before, we're getting somewhere, but it's gonna take a bit to get there.
Yeah. This was very much like all 3 episodes, like quick side discussion, I guess. Like a lot of anime talks about like the 3 episode rule. It's like at the 3rd episode you decide whether to drop the show or not. And it's like I remember reading an interview with a certain director, I don't remember who, but it's like they were also agreeing like, yes, we put a lot of effort into the 1st episode, and we put a lot of effort into the 3rd episode to make sure people stick around.
Yeah.
So it's like all 3 of these episodes felt very much like transition episodes from it's like you understand what the show is, then the 3rd episode delivers on what that show is, and then sets up for whatever greater plot happens. So it's like all these episodes were like setting up. It's like they destroy their first object. The team of antagonists seems to be set up, and now the CGS is officially gone, and they reformed as Tekkadan.
Right.
So again, like all these were transition episodes to set up to like what will really become the show we're watching.
Oh yeah, definitely. They're setting it all up right now. And like you said, third 3 episodes will kind of, you know, we saw it with the other show. I don't want to hint at anymore, but you know, Al knows Zero did the same thing. You brought in, you know, Butcher for 3 episodes, so they obviously are aware of the 3rd episode rule almost. That if things don't happen in the 3rd episode that makes you invested, you're not gonna watch anymore. So, but yeah, I'm invested in all 3 of these. So for right now, anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with 2 out of 3 willingly, 1 out of the 3 out of pure obligation. I'll leave it to you to guess which one it is.
Oh, it's totally Gundam, man. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, sure. I got nothing to say about Gundam except everything.